I have a confession.
Ooh, tell me.
Okay, so not only are we wearing the same outfit today, what's
Yes.
up, twinning? Black V-necks for the win. Okay, so also I made a appliance purchase, we'll say. I took the plunge. I finally scraped together my dollars, that's not true. But anyways, y'all, I got a washing machine, and I hook it up to my shower, and I spend all day thinking about what load of laundry I'm going to do next. And I'm surprised I haven't started dreaming. I've named her. Her name is Bertha. I love her so much. And I never thought a appliance could bring me so much joy. I even made her a little house. You could see on my Instagram story, she's got shelves above her. Like, this washing machine that cost me $150 worth every fucking penny has changed my life for the better.
Which every esthetician out there will tell you, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed. We do a lot of laundry, so we know what that's like. And many of us do have portables, and we attach them to our sinks and drain into our tubs.
Yes. She's so handy. And like when it's running, I'll even go and like look inside and like, oh, what are you doing in there? Because I'm just fucking obsessed with this stupid washer. I just love it so much. I love it so much.
It's because that's what we have to do, because the small things in life bring us joy.
Yeah, and this is adulting.
It is
You gotta get joy
adulting.
where you can get it, And if it's in a tiny little washer that you named Bertha, so be it.
That is right. All right, guys. Well, let's go ahead and get this party started. Hi, I'm Sybil Salon. I'm an esthetician and, well, still kind of a spa owner.
Sort of a spa owner. And hi, I'm Alex Ellis. I'm a body nerd and wellness expert, and we are business besties.
And bosses. Running your own business, it's hard.
But we're terrible employees, so we are figuring it out.
I've already figured it all out, but I promise to share everything we know about what it takes to make six figures and beyond.
And be brutally honest about what works and what totally sucks.
I'll be honest, a bunch of it totally sucks. So let's get started.
So true. Welcome back to Skinfessional. On today's show, we are talking about the importance of setting goals and how to create goals for yourself. And what else?
Oh my God. And why your goals should probably change.
Oh,
dun, dun, dun.
I don't set goals, and then I kill myself trying to achieve said goals and feel like a loser because I didn't achieve these goals. What?
No, that's what you definitely don't want to do. That's actually the story of how this episode kind of got into my mind, was that I talked to a lot of business owners about goals and goal setting, and they're just like, I have had some goals, Sybil, and they're these like far off goals. And then when we get to talking about them, I'm like, is that really your goal? And then I also talked to Alex about her goals, and she's been so much better about setting kind of goals that are more malleable and changeable.
Yeah.
Whereas Alex, how were your goals before? What used to be like with your goals?
Well, I went through a very traumatic time working with a business coach that was a fucking cash grab. And we would set these goals every quarter, and they were one of two things. They were either like, I don't even want to say easy, because none of it was easy. I'm a hard worker. I'm an overachiever. I busted my fucking ass to make these goals happen. And then I'd be like, great, I did it. Okay. But, I don't like, I'm not anywhere else in my business, in my life, and in the things I want to do, like the bigger picture, right? They were a lot of like to-do lists and not these bigger idea of goals, which we're going to talk about today. So I had all these goals. I'd mark some off. Others would not get marked off. And did I feel like shit, or did I feel like shit? I felt like such a loser for so long. And it really eroded my confidence, because I felt like two things. Either, again, I'm marking it off, but I don't feel any different, and I'm still fucking broke, or I can't achieve that goal. And so what is even the point of putting a goal down, because it's never going to happen anyways. I don't know how to make it happen. Yeah. So what's the point?
Right. Exactly. And I think that is the kind of the downfall of people, like where they don't want to set goals, is they have this like idea that if they don't achieve them, that why did they even make them? They just have this idea that, I don't want to set a goal because I'm going to feel like a loser when I don't make it. But goals should be this thing that you're like, there are different levels of them, and they should be something you look forward to, like a vacation. You're like, I'm setting goals, and
Yes.
the goals are amazing, and I'm so excited about them. And if I don't make it, it's okay. I can change my goal, or I could push that goal to something else. It's
Yes.
all right.
Yes. Okay. 1,000,000,000%. Because now I may set a goal and that goal may continue for a number of quarters.
Yeah.
And I set goals like by the quarter. And then I might even decide I don't want to do it anymore. And that's okay.
What?
That is okay. But I think too, the biggest mistake I used to make with setting goals is we set them like the to-do list, almost like too small,
Yeah.
right? So here's a workout equivalent of a goal that I set that I have yet to achieve, and I'm okay with that because your goals don't say anything about you as a person or a business owner. Okay,
Yeah.
okay,
No, absolutely right. Preach.
So I want to do a pull-up. Okay,
Mhm.
that's the goal. But the actual tasks to get there look very different,
Right.
right? So maybe that's, working on jumping pull-ups for 3 weeks and then progressing to eccentric holds and going down. And then it's, working on pull-ups at least 3 times a week. Like, those were the goals that I used to set. And then I'd be like, well, I still can't do a pull-up, but your goal was just to do, jumping pull. Like I hope that's making sense of like the congruent nature. Like there are these steps underneath the goal that will allow you to create the goal. And so we just need to think bigger.
It's often the journey. The goals are to get you to the journey of what you're doing. And so that is one of the biggest kind of idea shifts that I think that people need to kind of manage in their mind. So when you're setting goals, I always think that there are these big goals. Like you have this like one, what I call like the penultimate goal. It's this big, what I like to think of as my dragon horde goal. Like it's the one where I think I envision myself, I'm a dragon horde, and this is what's going to get me. I want that. That is what I'm seeking. But that's like this big goal, and it almost seems unreachable. But it's this goal that I'm going to hold in my heart. And I want it. I want it bad. But there's going to be all these other things in between. And I'm going to have kind of like this middling goal, which is this not unattainable goal, but it's still going to be hard to reach. So it'd be like that pull-up. You're like, I want to do this pull-up. You're like, for your business, you're like, I want to make so much money, or I want to make sure I can take Saturdays off. I want to get one Saturday off. Maybe it's not even the biggest goal yet. I just want to get one Saturday off. I want to make sure I have more time with my kids. And therefore, then you're going to work on these smaller goals to get to that goal. And that's what you're going to do. And then maybe even from that, you're going to break it down to even smaller goals.
Yeah.
Weekly goals.
Yep.
Daily goals. Right?
I don't know. That really triggers my overachieverness. I'm like, we suck. We failed. Oh, no.
You're going to do something where it's like, they're so simple that of course you're going to make it.
Yeah.
And that's where I think that people are like, well, I what if I fail? I'm like, it's going to be so simple. You're like, it's going to be like, today, it's not going to be like, I'm going to have 4 clients. It's going to be like, I'm going to go into my office today and keep my desk clean.
Yeah. Well, and you absolutely, goals don't always have to be monetarily related. They don't always have to be business related. That having a life outside of your business, whether that's Saturdays off or more time with your family, like that to me, and this is the biggest growth of goals that I've had, that's more important. My goals now are primarily personal goals, and like the business stuff. Oh, sorry, as I like smack my mic. I'm very passionate about this. They're important, but they're not the whole picture.
Well, and we don't really understand that everything, like the body, everything is really interconnected.
Yeah.
So, for me, like when my office is crazy, that means my life is in chaos. So for me, a lot of times it's like, I need to keep my desk clean, and that's important to me. And when my desk is clean, that actually allows me to think like a more rational person. It also makes me want to come in and do more work. And so you think to yourself, what are like small things you can do for yourself that are for yourself, that are those small incremental goals that give you, and we've talked about these things before, like these tiny moments of joy and things where you can like pump yourself up and give yourself small wins. And those are the small things.
Well, it's almost too like those smaller things are the milestones that get you closer to the bigger goal. And again,
Yes.
it may not take a quarter. This may be a multi-year plan. You may have, a projection in mind of like, oh no, it's going to happen on this date. Like that's all fine. But think of
Mhm.
like the bigger picture goal, and then that smaller to-do list stuff. Those are the milestones that will get you closer to achieving that.
Yes. Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was like, wait, what? I was going to say too, add on to this, that, and that's how you plan for goals, right? This is how you make them is you think of what is the big goal? What is the thing that if I were able to do this would really transform my business, my life, whatever.
Mhm.
So a goal that I have that I'm still working on, and y'all know if you've been listening, I've been working on for a very long time, is to be debt free. Right. So the
Yes.
milestones underneath that, the projects that I decide to focus on each quarter. And I have to also give a shout out to Kim Bennett, who's been a guest on the show, and
Mhm.
her goal setting and quarterly planning process like totally transformed how I think about goals. So the projects that I choose are to move me closer to that goal. And then with each project, right, maybe it's like increase membership. And then under that, okay, what are the things I'm going to do? When do they need to happen by? I'm
Mhm.
literally printing out calendars to like plan it out because I'm a
Right.
very like tangible person. I want to write it down and see it all, the big picture.
Right.
And like that's how you measure your goal. If I just was like, well, I want to be debt free because also, that was my goal for a long time and I didn't have any milestones or anything. And I'm just like, why is it not happening? Why am I not manifesting this? Been there, done that. The champagne's still in the fridge. You have to then like think bigger. I guess that's what I'm trying to say, right? You
Right.
have this goal. And then I'm going to ask you, well, why? Why does it matter? Why is it important? And when you can get to that bigger why, that bigger picture, then you have not just this like to-do list task or milestone, but
Mhm.
you have the almost like the passion and the purpose and the drive that's
Mm.
going to keep you getting there and moving there, even when it gets hard, even when you fuck up, even when you have setbacks, you'll still be moving forward because the bigger picture is still there.
Absolutely, absolutely. And so one of the things that I like to talk about, and Alex is such a good example of this because she has kind of gone through a lot of these milestones and we've watched her grow. If you've been watching the show, listen to the
Seriously.
show, you've watched Alex grow through a lot of this. And like Alex, for you, when you first realized that you're like, I want to get out of debt and I want to grow my business, which by the way, you're rocking at both of these things, right? You're growing your business, you're getting out of debt, hand in hand. They're going great.
Yep.
When you were like, okay, I'm really going to get like down to business on this, you set yourself tasks and goals. And what was that like for you when you like made that decision to actually do it? How did you feel?
Well, it checked off boxes, right? As far as like, well, I did something, and like now I can pat myself on the back. So like that process gave me clarity as to what I should be doing every day. Because I think sometimes too, we can get into the rhythm or habit of like just seeing our clients or just doing
Mm-hmm.
our regular day to day. And if you want to grow your business or scale your business or change your offerings or do something bigger than you are doing now, you have to have like a roadmap to
Yeah.
kind of get there. And so it did take some like bigger picture planning as
Mm-hmm.
well as
Mm-hmm.
to like what does this actually look like and what could it be, and then just like those projects. And for me, those projects are like a lot of, I'm gonna say a lot of launching products. No, stop launching products, Alex. Stop launching products.
Well, one second. So we're going to
Yeah.
roll that back. So you just actually launched kind of a new product. I mean, it's
Yeah.
addendum to. So you just did this the vault. You created a vault, and that came about because of a conversation we kind of had, and you'd been percolating about it a bit. But you had this idea that you had to have so many members,
Yes.
and we kind of had a conversation where it was like, well, what if you didn't have just members and you kind of went a different route as well?
Mm-hmm.
What happened to your kind of this goal? You said like, how did your goal kind of shift because of that? How did your mindset
Yeah.
kind of shift?
Well, that's still the ultimate goal, right? Is to
Mm-hmm.
be debt free. And so thinking under that, all right, what are ways I can increase my monthly income to get me to that goal in, I don't even want to say faster, but in a more sustainable, fun way, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you have two options, right? You can raise your prices,
Mm-hmm.
right? You can offer a higher level, higher touch more expensive offer.
Mm-hmm.
But when I look at my clientele and the type of people I like to work with, and also how I want to show up, a
Yep.
lower priced, less touch offer for me made sense. It was
Yeah.
something I already had, right? So it was easy to package and put that together. So then I say, all right, cool. I have this goal. I want to launch the video vault. Let me look at my calendar. What's a realistic date? Knowing all the things that I have to do to get it done. What's a realistic date? You set that date. And if you're like, wait, well, how do you know what things you need to get done? You listen to this show, and we've told you a bunch of times about the things you need to get done, right? You need a way to take the money. You need a way to tell them about what's included. And then you need a way to deliver it. That's pretty
Yep.
much it. So built all that stuff out, did all my problem solving, wrote my marketing emails. And even once I sent them out, I was like, man, I should have done it this way instead, but oh well, it's
But it's
already
done.
out.
Whatever.
It's done. It's done. And then I picked the date, and then the ball is rolling.
Yep.
Right. And also, I just a side note, addendum to the addendum to the addendum. We had talked about pricing. I wanted to price it way lower. And then a friend said, oh, your pricing is part of your brand. And I was just like, oh, I feel it. It makes me uncomfortable. And nobody bought on the first day, and nobody bought on the second day. Nobody bought on the third day.
Yep.
And I was like, it's probably too expensive. I should have gone lower. And then somebody bought it. And I was like, oop, we locked in. There is no lowering this price. We are locked in. And now we go. So I just share that too of there's going to be doubts. But
Absolutely.
once that first person says yes and they opt in, then like seatbelt is on, rocket ship is going, we're here for it. So anyways, yeah, have the idea, have the goal, look at a calendar. Also, what's like reasonable for my life. If you got all these trips and the holidays are coming up, don't try to create something insane right now. So be reasonable with your time and your bandwidth, and then break it down into all of the steps that you need to do. I literally I'll show you right here.
Alex loves her systems, everyone. We all know it. We have an entire episode on systems.
Yeah, I wrote down here in my planner all the things that I needed to do. And that for me, as papers fall out of here, just write it down so you know what you're going to have to do, and then just start knocking stuff out and planning when you're going to do that. And that's all that goal setting is. That's really it.
So there you have it. So Alex is such a good person to kind of talk to about kind of the way to set goals and think about resetting goals and rethinking about goals. I want everyone who's listening to think in their life how they could be setting a goal, what goal they could set, or maybe you have a goal and you're feeling this right now and you're like, oh, I have also been having trouble meeting that goal. Is it because you're having trouble meeting that goal, or is it because the goal isn't right for you?
Yeah.
Maybe that goal needs to change a little bit. It's always weird to me when people are like, well, I can't really make my goals. I'm like, is it that you can't make your goal, or is the goal is not right for you? Does this shoe not fit? It's not. You're not Cinderella. It's not that situation.
I stopped setting monetary goals for that reason, because I would get like hyper obsessed with like, well, it has to be this number, and like, well, does that mean I need to sell this many this and this many that? And that's just like not energetically how I like to show up, and it was making me feel like trash. So that's another thing. Like if you have a goal of a certain, benchmark for the month, and that's not feeling good and you're just not meeting it, change it. What's the bigger reason why? And or what's another way I could reframe this? My goal is X number of dollars. Okay, really, I want to help 10 new people. Okay, so how am I going to help 10 new people, right? And this is, again, how you break it down and you get down into those milestones and the nitty-gritty.
Yeah, there are lots of ways to think about goals that are like different. Like Alex and I do not always think about the goals exactly the same. We were talking earlier when we first started planning the show today, and I often think about goals as kind of loosely. I write down nothing when it comes to goals. I think about goals very loosely because I can become crazy obsessive if I write stuff down. I'm very much like, I always think about stuff as sand in my hands. And if you hold on to it too tightly, it'll just drip out. So I'm very much like very loose about it. And I'll just be like, oh, now it's gone and it's coming back. But I stay very hyper focused on my long-term goal, because I'm a long-term planner. I would say I'm a very long-term planner. And we have an episode from long way back now, one of the first episodes we did on failure. And I have a huge breakdown about it. And you can watch me if you want to see me break down about how a plan can go wrong, I'm such a long-term planner and a broad planner that if I plan that intensely for something and one piece goes wrong and everything falls apart, that is how I fall apart. Which is why I've learned over the years to be like, don't intensely plan that intensely. It's why my 2020 was so hard because there was no planning. There was no planning.
No.
There's zero planning. For people who are planners, it was so hard.
Well, especially when you're in a modality that requires you to be with people that wasn't allowed,
Yeah. So if you're out there and you're thinking to yourself, okay, well, I'm back into the groove and I'm trying to make some goals and I'm trying to do some planning, it's okay. Get out there and do planning. And once again, when we are talking about goal setting, it's not just goal setting for your business. It's goal setting for yourself. It's goal setting for your family, for your life, for your happiness. Because I would say that a life skill is goal setting. Wouldn't you say, Alex? Like learning how to set goals?
I mean, yeah, I feel because also, the way I talk about goals now is very different from had you asked me 10 years ago. And I just remember to just Post-it notes everywhere and like no organization. And like my mom would give me the hardest time. I'm like, you just need to like write stuff down and make a plan. I was like, I never. And so, starting small and learning and finding out what works best. I think that too, with goal setting, approaching it with like a curiosity for learning and like what's new helps you to stay in a more open mind so that, shit is going to go wrong. And then you're like, okay, well, what can I learn from this to move forward? I've had things where I planned it out. I'm like, wow, that was atrocious. I didn't sleep and my self-care was awful. Let's not do that again. So I think too, like where we start talking about personal goals, those are important. Those are super, super important. And being aware of your personal life and how you want to show up there and setting, goals and boundaries around that is just as important as your business stuff.
How did you get comfortable with letting go of kind of like the like, I have to be perfect goal mindset?
I'm going to climb under my desk now.
That's a hard question here on Skinfessional.
I know. Geez. I think like planning enough time, like that really helped because I definitely have a tendency to, I'm just going to work like 10 hours a day and then I'm not going to sleep well and I'm going to be really stressed out and be like super obsessive. So having a personal life outside of my business is very helpful. Like our breakfasts that we do. Yay. I'm going to Disneyland with some friends next week. I can't wait. Like stuff like that helps. Being mindful about the time it's going to take. And then also like really asking yourself, like, do I have to get this done today?
Okay. Which
is a very hard thing because sometimes I'm like, oh, well, this client expects a turnaround that's 2 hours. And I'm like, but do they?
Do they?
Do they? I don't think they do.
Do you care really? Should you care?
No, I don't care. So, I mean, that already too, I'm sharing this from literally this week, working till 7:30. And then I was like, you know what? I could do this tomorrow and that would be okay. Or I could even do this a day after and that would be okay. So yeah, I think too, like, finding, wherever you find yourself getting into that more like obsessive state where for me, the measurement is always like self-care. If my self-care is like,
okay, that's a good rule.
Life balance, right? So when I feel like the self-care is going down because I'm getting really highly focused on this goal, I need to reevaluate this goal. Does it make sense? Is it really, solve or moving us closer to the overall big thing? And is this how I want to keep showing up? Like
that is a really good one. And that hits home for me because although I don't per se, like I've never really for my business been like, I have like a monetary goal. I always have had, I know that I want to keep busy and I know that I want to be successful and I know that I want to keep booked. And so I know for me, when I look at my book and it's gotten out of control, like I just recently looked and I was like, how am I working so many hours again? I only work one weekend a month. And yet when I'm there, I literally looked and was like, how did people sneak onto a time that I'm not even working, and I'm now working till like midnight, and I started at 8 a.m. and I just told you that I have to do breakfast at a different, because I have to do breakfast at a different time because I snuck in a client. And I'm like, okay, I need to reevaluate what's happening. It's really time to rethink what's going on. And literally when I rescheduled breakfast with you, Alex, is when I sat back and was like, Sybil Solon, which, by the way, I always call myself my full name when I'm having conversations with myself. I don't know if anybody else does, but I would say, Sybil Solon, you need to rethink your life right now. Like, are you living the best life? Are you making better plans for yourself? Because you're working too many damn hours. Even though it's only 2 days, it's too many damn hours for those 2 days. Either you need to come in an extra day and make that happen, or you need to raise prices even more than you just raised them. So that's what needs to happen. Goals, people. Goals.
Yeah.
Work-life balance. Huge on task.
It's so hard. I mean, yeah, just all of that too. Like, I just onboarded 3.5, we'll say, new private clients.
Yeah.
And so next month it'll be, 4 hours of my week working with clients, which is fucking amazing and like exactly what I wanted. Like, I remember a month ago, I was like, oh my God, I feel like I'm not doing anything. And I wish I could go back in time and slap that version of myself. Okay. Slap her. And I still have the same amount of work, right? But now I'm also working with clients. And so, goal setting too, maybe the goal is I want to hire a video manager, or this is for me, to do the menial tasks that don't need my expertise.
Yes.
Right. So then that's the goal, because that's going to free up my time and get me back to a place where I feel like I'm more, I don't want to like balance or harmony, whatever, where I feel better about it. Yeah.
So I think that in general, the lesson that people should take away, number one lesson, whether it's goal setting or anything, as an entrepreneur and as a solo business owner, is that money equals time when it comes to being able to hire somebody else out to do your jobs. So you may not be able to hire somebody out to be you, but you can hire somebody out to do things that you don't want to do. And that is where making more money really helps. Didn't you say that's the case, Alex? Like, as you've made more money, you're like, oh my God, I can take this money and give it to other people to do things that I don't want to do, that you don't need me to do.
Yeah. 1,000%. Also, like, anyone with a very large business, because I'm in like a mastermind right now with people whose business is much larger than me, are like, to scale, you need to stop doing certain things.
Yeah.
And so the sooner you can learn how to do that.
Yeah, to hire the people.
Yeah. Or also, actually, I just had the thought now. I was thinking I got to hire a new person. I was like, why don't I just ask a person who already works for me, like, if she can do this? I'm sure she can.
Right on. And she'll be happy for work.
Yeah. Problem solved.
Right on. All right. Well, I hope that everyone has learned about goal setting, at least starting to tip your, tippy toes in the water, and understanding that there is kind of better ways maybe to set goals, that they don't have to be so scary. They can be very helpful for you to set goals. And we do have another episode a while back that I'll make sure I link in here, boom, about goals and other ways you can set goals. And you can listen to Alex talk about goals from, over a year ago, and where her goals.
Who is that girl? I don't even know her.
And where her goals were then.
Oh, how fun. Let's go back in time. So yeah, we want to hear about you. How's goal setting going? Did you learn something new today? Are you just like, no, this is all trash? What are you talking about? We want it all. So you can find us on Instagram. The show is at Skinfessional. You can tag Sybil directly at Skin Fitness Expert. You can find me at Hala Formala. You can even send us an email. It's skinfessionalpod@gmail.com. So that's Skinfessional, just like the show, POD @gmail.com. Or you can leave us a voicemail in our box,
which is 818-473-5277. All right, everyone, until next week.
Keep your secrets to yourself.
Unless you're telling us.
Okay, bye.
All right, everyone, bye.